Wasteland. That is a visitor's first impression of this town in Saudi Arabia's eastern province. One neighborhood of Awamiyah has borne the brunt of the Saudi crackdown. Al-Musawwara has been leveled since the regime forces began an assault on the Shia-populated town days ago. A number of people have been killed. The international community has been dead silent on the rights violations in the town, which by some is seen as amounting to genocide. There has also been a media blackout in the West regarding the issue.
The Saudi decision is actually believed to be a punishment for the town's residents. And so, independent reports that we're getting right now is that the Saudi security operation Awamiyah may be the result of U.S. President Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia.
People living in Saudi Arabia's eastern province are mostly Shia Muslims. The Shias have for years complained about what they see as discrimination and marginalization at the hands of the Saudi government. But any protest by them has always been met with a crackdown. Some observers blame this on the repressive nature of Riyadh. They say the regime does not accept opposition, whether it comes from a Sunni or a Shia Muslim, and that they are just intolerant. For all its dark rights record, Saudi Arabia has been admitted to the UN Rights Council as a member. Many have found this a mockery of human rights.
Well, you have to understand one thing. Saudi Arabia has bought its way into the United Nations. Saudi Arabia has become one of the major funders of the United Nations, along with the United States and the United Kingdom. And so what they're doing is they're holding their checks over the United Nations heads and telling them, if you don't do what we want you to do, then we will withhold the funding from you. And every time United Nations gives in to Saudi demands, they always end up with a 100 to 200 million check that very same day.
It is said that Riyadh has been admitted to the UN rights body with the help and support of its Western backers.
Well, Saudi Arabia is responsible for women's issues in the United Nations. That is completely unheard of, because the women in Saudi Arabia are completely oppressed. And, they're not allowed to drive, they're not allowed to vote, they cannot sign for their bank accounts until they have a guardian with them, which has to be a male.
The U.S. has been described as Saudi Arabia's most hypocritical supporter. Washington portrays itself as the guardian of human rights and democracy, but it turns a blind eye to the long list of Saudi rights abuses, most of which are condemned by advocacy groups as medieval. Saudi Arabia is the main oil supplier of the U.S., infamous for putting material profit before anything else, including democracy. The U.S. also stands accused of using such concepts as human rights, freedom of speech, and democracy as a lever to pressure countries that resist its domination. Meanwhile, all rights organizations verify that people in Saudi Arabia do not enjoy any of those rights and that the kingdom has zero tolerance for dissent.